So today we're going to be talking a bit of some OFL history. And this is some OFL history as related to the team whose team I'm in. That's right. We are here in Milkian, aka the Ram Stadium, which is home to the Old Football League's greatest dynasty. A team that basically was highlighted, known through Season 6 all the way to Season 11. That was really much the peak of the Rams. And the Rams have not won a victory bowl since VB10. And they haven't even appeared in a victory bowl since Season 11. Now today, we're going to be talking about that. So, we're going to be talking about Victory Bowl 11, which was without a doubt one of the highest scoring OFL games in history, as the teams that were playing in it, which was the Rams and the Panthers, both went ahead and combined for a lot of points. But the Panthers got the last laugh, winning in overtime, 47-41. But I'm just gonna say it straight up: that win wouldn't have happened if it weren't for a few miscues on the Rams side. Much less the overtime wouldn't have happened if it weren't for one certain play that would change OFL history forever. So before we go and start, what's going on, everybody? Brown DC here. You guys can see I'm basically an OFL history junkie at times, and we're gonna be going ahead and we're gonna be talking about the Rams, about their victory bowls, which, as you can see, they basically are on display here. Season 10s, Season 9, Season 8, and Season 7, and of course the championships: Season 6, Season 11, Season 8, 9, 10. It's also not the. We also forgot the one from Season 11. Now, the reason why I talk about this, and mind you, this is the Rams now. They got a good stadium. I gotta give them that. Gotta give that castle some credit for designing this good stadium. We're gonna go ahead and really gonna talk about basically what happened in Victory Bowl 11 that would spark one of the greatest upsets in OFL history, or I should say Victory Bowl history. So, some context to this was that the Rams entering that season, entering the Victory Bowl, they were basically, once again, one of the best teams in all of football, having been to the Victory Bowl dance so many times before. Heck, they were basically undefeated, actually, entering the Victory Bowl 10-0, including some playoff wins themselves. So this was a team that was not a joke. I mean, first of all, you had a former MVP quarterback and in Sean HTX, who basically was fresh off of another Victory Bowl. Mind you, most of the Rams in this season were fresh off a Victory Bowl. They had guys like Lordy J, who, by the way, who basically was playing wide receiver. But before that, he was actually the Rams quarterback. That's another episode and another story. But yeah, Lordy J was there, as he went ahead and he got wide receiver of the year honors. But then, of course, there was also some other players that you had. There was also Bellarive, who basically was the Season 10 head coach, I believe, of the Rams. So I don't know what it was. I'm just gonna say straight up. I'm just going off of what the OFL, what the whole thing in the OFL record book said about the whole part. Anyway, they didn't have other people. They didn't have the other guys, but they also had one of the best defensive ends in OFL as well. As we're talking about Mr. Wake, Ricky Wake, but people just know him as JJ Wake, or believe it or not, that YouTuber known as Wake. Yes, Wake was a defensive end in the OFL, but I'm not gonna really go into details of his story because let's just say it'll be a bit harder information to go ahead and gather up. But but when he was in the OFL, he was one of the best defensive ends. And keep in short, they even had some other players as well. They had Blue Mal, aka Jordan Wake, who is basically was my OFL teammate with the Thunderbirds. He basically retired after that victory bowl. GG Blue. And there was also this was like I would say this is probably one of the more better rosters that you've ever seen around the league. I mean, they even brought in Gorton. Like overall, to keep a long story short, this was without a doubt one of the best rosters in all of football. And plus, they were able to finish the regular season undefeated and get their playoff wins undefeated. Once again, this is without a doubt one of the best teams entering the Victory Bowl. Plus, they're also the reigning champions, having beaten the Firecats in Victory Bowl 10 before. That game resulting in what was a usual typical game for the ages. But the Rams weren't really hot that season, as they basically went ahead and pretty much went 6-4 in the regular season, while the Firecats, they were more well prepared, 8-2, but the Rams were more VB experienced as a team, and basically at that time were also defending reigning champions, having beaten the Snowhawks in Victory Bowl 9, which was a 42-26 upset, in which the Snowhawks didn't even have their starting quarterback at the beginning of the game, which was healable. So they had to go ahead and have a backup, aka Kill Ninjas, in a QB. So with that being said, overall, the Rams basically were trying to go ahead and look to make themselves 5P champions here, because they're fresh off of Victory Bowl being the Firecats. They also beat the Snowhawks. They defeated a Huskies team led by Sean HTX, which all it took was literally pretty much a last-second rushing touchdown by Hero Forsaken to win the game. And then in Victory Bowl 7, they went ahead and they blew out and got some heavy revenge against the Rockford Raptors, and I'll take the wheel. And what was a blowout? 27-0. In the end, that is also another victory that we can also talk about. But this is without a doubt the Rams' best season since season 8, when they went 11-0 with Lord Jallis at quarterback. So anyway, this is once again one of the best rosters in football. With addition to all those players, they even had one of the best tight ends of all time in Xavier Pone. Once again, good team, and the heavy favorites to win the Victory Bowl. But what about the Snellhawks? Or I should say the Panthers. Well, the Panthers, they were a team head coached by Kill Ninjas, who was basically more of a running back and a defensive back, but he was still decent. And they were quarterbacked by Healable. Once again, this was basically a bit of a rematch from Victory Bowl 9 coming up. And people thought of this season as like the last season that the Rams dynasty would have. But I'm just going to be honest straight up. But the game's results didn't happen, there would have been without a doubt that we would have seen the Rams continue their peak till the next season. And with that, that's basically the context up into the game. Now, what happened in the game was pretty much the offenses and both offenses going down each other's throats, basically the whole way. And when I mean they went down each other's throats, they went down each other's throats. The the Panthers were more freshly well made, and were slightly more prepared. They had, with addition to that duo of Kill Ninjas and Miss Drew, they also went ahead and they brought in some talent from other teams. They brought in Mr. Oleggy from the Firecats. They brought in War Eagle, who basically at the time is an up and coming star. Fast forward to today, he's probably one of the best receivers in the OFL. Remember, he's not basically on a star-studded team. Then he's usually basically like the wide receiver to that team. But anyway, that's not really important on that story. So you pretty much saw a very well-routed Panthers team. So once again, both teams came out no joke. So at the start of the game, during the game, one of the things that went ahead and happened was that they were forced to switch stadiums, which, to context, I was not able to get information on why they switched. But to keep it short, the stadium switch basically didn't really affect play that much. But the Rams went ahead and they basically, without a doubt, they were ready to defend their title off as the NBA as the OFL champs. But this wouldn't be an episode without mentioning Panthers came in well prepared. The first half was basically both sides going ahead and scoring touchdowns, but the Panthers went ahead and took basically a one possession lead at half. I think it was like 28-20 or something like that. But in the second half, the Rams came back, and it was in good fashion too, as they went ahead and they pretty much dropped the points needed to go ahead and tie up the game, which basically went ahead and included a last-second touchdown pass from Sean HCX to Gordon, with no time left to basically confirm this team as victoriable champions. But then, of course, basically, one of the most craziest plays happened in OFL history. So, all the Rams had to do was kick a PAT to win the game and to go ahead and make them 5-peat champions, which would also make this would also help Sean HCX's legacy as well. As basically up to that point, he never had an undefeated season at QB. But when they lined up for the PAT, simply put, things went ahead and went differently. So when you line up for a PAT, you're expected to go ahead. The normal rules is that you have to go ahead and as soon as you have to jump like this and do that. And then if it's good, it's good, and you win the game. But believe it or not, it actually did not happen like that. Not at all. And that is where we have to go and approach this one. So when Sean lined up for the PAT, he went ahead and he did the jump as planned and converted the PAT. But the problem was, when he jumped, he went ahead and he had to move out of the way. due to the fact, and the craziest part was, and don't even ask me how, but when he went for that jump, the the refs went ahead and apparently were in the way. And mind you, the rest of that game was Maillard and LeBron Six dunk. So this was a very this I'm pretty sure would went ahead and went out as one of the most controversial plays in VB history. Overall, the end of the ruling result was just because he just didn't move out of the way. All he had to do was if he had to, all he had to do was just sit still, do that. But they went ahead and they deemed him. They deemed him out, and the result was the PAT was no good. So that, of course, would go ahead and would send the game into the first overtime. In OFL history. And to be fair, when we looked at the result of that game, that did not age well. I mean, the Rams had a chance. I mean, the first chance they went ahead and they got, since the Panthers got ball first. But on that drive, that was quick. That ended up being an interception for Bellerive. And with the game on the line, the Rams couldn't really do anything with the ball. Like, they couldn't do nothing. Not zilch. So the Rams ended up being forced to surprisingly do the one thing that you never would see in an OFL game. Like, not at all. And that, of course, is punt the ball. I'm pretty sure if that this punt would end up going ahead and would just be, I don't know. Anyways, the punt went ahead and put the Rams in nice field position to not only just get the safety, but to go ahead and basically win the game. But of course the Panthers had other plans. With going ahead and constructing a game-winning drive that first saw Mr. going ahead and throwing a pass to Mr. Olegui. Then later on he would throw a notable pass to Kill Ninjas just to set them up in the red zone. But the last play of the game is where it basically all counted. And I'm just going to go ahead and just say it straight up. If the defensive back didn't jump early, probably would have had himself an interception. But instead, young Justin went ahead and he made the biggest catch in the game, which was a which was like a 10-yard touchdown to win the game for the Panthers, 47-41. And with that, the Panthers went ahead and pulled off the upset. And that without a doubt. Not only would just break the undefeated streak, but it'll also go ahead it basically would upset a lot of people. Breaking not only just the VB streak, but the record, a win, any chance at a victory bowl. Basically, was just robbed in that play. So the outcome of the game basically would end up seeing the Rams going ahead and end up being the losers out in the end. Just because of one simple play that the refs were kind of in the way that would not make the Rams victory bowl losers and the Panthers victory bowl champions. So the result of that game would basically pretty much would change OFL history. Panthers became victory bowl champions, and the Rams never made a victory bowl again. I mean, again, they went ahead and have not made a victory bowl ever again. Pretty much, yeah. But that and as for some players, some of the Rams went. Basically, the Rams actually went ahead and was basically ended after that. Players just went to different teams, and we would never go ahead and we wouldn't hear from the Rams dynasty again. Well, not actually really, as although the Rams would go ahead and basically would once again all they were losers, they still got a bit of a last laugh later on. They came back together, but on the Snowhawks differently. And again, that in that season 13 season, two seasons away from that VB loss, some of those Rams got revenge, and I mean they got revenge hard, getting the getting a victory bowl win, and without a doubt going ahead and giving Core Blocks their first VB win. But as for the Panthers that played in that victory bowl, mainly Miss Drew and Healable, that dynamic duo, well, they didn't really make the victory bowl again after that. I mean, but they did. Okay, I'm bluffing there. They actually did return to the victory bowl in VB14. So, following that, after VB12 happened with Ejected and Zach of Sueños going head toe to toe, and pretty much the remnants of the Dynasty Rams getting that revenge ring with the Snowhawks. A lot of those Rams players went ahead and also made a return, but this time they were on the Raiders, and that Raiders team could have, without a doubt, won the victory bowl. But let's just say things didn't go that way, as Healable stood in the way, and he would get the last laugh instead, going ahead and pretty much handing Sean another VB loss and collecting a ring himself. And since then, since Victory Bowl 14, Sean HCX never made a VB after that. I don't believe. Okay. Until Victory Bowl 28. when he was basically serving as some key death when the Thunderbirds went ahead and beat the Ducks 43-28. Yes, I had to go and bring that up. And it's actually true, though, since I was on that Thunderbirds team. So, anyways. But after basically that Victory Bowl and their VB rematch, Healable will basically win only one more ring at QB. And that would go ahead and that would be with the Blue Steel City Vikings defeating the DC Knights 34-22 and Victory Bowl 23. Which, by the way, which would end up being the first Victory Bowl that a certain star QB in the OFL would appear in, i.e. not Calvin 5. So anyways, thanks for going ahead and basically watching this little video. This was pretty much my own take on this. Okay, it wasn't really more of a take, it was just basically the info about it. If my take basically would just went ahead and happened, I do kind of go ahead and would have to give some certain biasity and to say Victor Bowl 11 could have been rigged, but that's just my opinion. And history was basically happened, so it doesn't really matter anyway. I can't go back in time and basically and pretty much fix the Victory Bowl. In fact, none of us can. If you can somehow, then boy, that's going to be very interesting. So either way, thank you guys for watching this. And that was basically what happened. From Victory Bowl 11. So, with it, be sure to go ahead and please hit the video with the like and subscribe button down below. And let me know what you think went ahead and basically happened in the Victory Bowl. On that one day, that if Sean H. Shucks maybe did not have to jump out of the way of the refs for just to make a PAT, I don't know. It would seem something different. But aside from that, I'm Brown DC, the bull you already know, and I'll see you next time. Saddle up, saddle out, peace out, let's go.